On weekends all around North America, vintage baseball, two words, thank you, is being played using old rules and traditional uniforms by players named Bulldog, Beer Tab, and Schoolboy. On today's episode, we have a special guest to tell us all about this fun look into baseball's past. Brooke, what do you think my nickname would be if I played vintage baseball?
Jerry, we've talked about nicknames on past episodes before. Chipper got cut by the family on the Chipper Jones
I am a
episode.
junior. It would be a good
I
nickname.
know. We cut Chipper, and then you tried to pull T-Bone in. That did not work.
Yeah, you can't pick
So,
your own nickname.
No. And so I tried to look. I said, well, Jerry Meatball Dines, it's a baseball term. I said, oh, I don't know about that. But I think I'm going with sort of just your look, and I'm going with Jerry Graybeard Dines.
Graybeard.
Because it's got a pirate name to it. It's funny. I'm going with Graybeard.
I sound like a Tolkien character in that, but I guess we'll talk about this later. Let's just start the episode.
Hello and welcome to Fungos and Fastballs, the podcast of baseball history and trivia. I'm your host, Jerry Dines. Let's jump into today's episode.
Hello, listeners. Today, I'm excited to have a special guest to tell us more about vintage baseball, Tom Big Bat Fesolowich.
Hip, hip, huzzah! I learned that term. I learned that's what you say.
Brooke, give it a good old cheer there. Tom, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Well, Tom has been involved in playing and promoting vintage 19th century baseball for 30 years. He's the coordinator of the old-time baseball program at Old Bethpage Village Restoration in New York, and the founder and president now for 28 years of the New York Mutuals. Tom, before we get into vintage baseball, we always ask new guests about their own journey into baseball, how you came to love this wonderful pastime.
Well, I started, like most people, started in Little League. Played for my town up to the age of about 13. Fell in love with the game, follow Major League Baseball closely, and that's basically how I got started, playing baseball as first and third baseman, sometimes catcher.
You have a favorite team growing up?
Los Angeles Dodgers. Sorry, folks.
Hey, that's a wonderful historical team. I love that. Well, many of our listeners certainly have heard about vintage baseball. I know they want to know more. Many have been exposed through the humorous, but I don't know if it gives a total impression of it, the Conan O'Brien sketch in 2004. Brooke may post the link. When did vintage baseball start? And then, I think you've been involved since the 1990s. Is that around the time it started or even earlier?
No, it actually started in 1979. At the Old Bethpage Village Restoration as part of a Civil War reenactment. They had the soldiers play against each other, and then it just kind of grew from there. The next program started in Ohio the very next year, I think it was 81. And then a league formed, and the rest is kind of history. I mean, the baseball strike in 1994 brought a real big resurgence of the sport.
And explain vintage baseball to the listeners.
Yeah, basically vintage is it's kind of a recreation without us knowing the results. We play authentic rules from a particular year. During the 19th century, the rules changed from year to year. So you would pick a year, research the rules from the year before and the year after, try and figure out the language and terminology of the time so that you could not put a modern spin on it, and then you would represent that particular year. So teams across the country play by many different years. Most common is 1864.
1864. Is that the year the Mutuals usually play on?
Yeah, we usually play 1864 because it has most of the differences. Unusual rule set. It's the last year of the bound game, which is catching the ball in the bounces and out. So and the actual original New York Mutuals existed during that year, so we kind of recreate them.
Question for you, Tom. When you're playing, are you acting or playing a persona, or are you actually, do you have a special calling, an inner calling to vintage baseball, and you just takes over?
We don't do an actual persona because that's very difficult to do. First-person reenacting is very hard to do. You have to do a lot of research on that, and stay in character. But we do stay in character for an 1864 person. Like you probably will see on the Conan O'Brien skit, there were a lot of farmers on that.
Well, my question to you is are you a fireman since the mutuals were made up of firemen? But I've seen you with your top hat, so I'm a little confused. What was your day
Uh,
job?
that's when I was an umpire. But personally, um, no, personally, I'm a retired teacher, so that's what I did back then. But the mutuals were firemen, in quotes. They got paid for that, kind of like a no-show job almost.
Yeah, I think we had read the Mutuals were owned by Boss Tweed or run by Boss Tweed, the Tammany Hall boss. So, are you
That is correct.
suggesting
Yeah.
that they played baseball and didn't really do the job that they claimed they had?
Yeah, that was pretty common. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Now, the New York Mutuals are part of a larger league throughout the Northeast, right? I read Pennsylvania and even Maine and New York and New Jersey, Delaware.
Yeah, we're part of the National Association of Historic Baseball Clubs, which I'm an advisor for. Um, we have over 30 teams. The requirements to be part of that is you have to play baseball historically accurate as possible. Um, there are, without getting too far into it, there are other programs out there that have little customs and things that aren't necessarily historically accurate. So we try and keep it right on the money as far as accuracy is concerned.
Are there people with like the rules from, I don't know, like 1884 or other time frames?
Yeah, yeah. What normally will happen, like if we go to them or they come to us, we'll play one our year and one their year.
Okay, are those
So
like Midwest teams or something?
no, actually, there's a team up in Providence that plays 1884 as their main year, and that's because the Providence Grays in 1884 were national champions. So they have the actual uniforms, replica uniforms, and follow the rules of that. So either they'll instruct us or we'll research which we've been doing 1884 for 30 years as well, but um, we'll research the rules and make sure we're hip to what's going on.
I think Brooke had told you in an email that we were heading back up to see family this summer, and we were hoping to come out to a game. What's the experience for a fan? What can they expect?
Wondering if you'd paint the scene for us. If I walk onto the field, what will I expect to see, and how should I act when I'm there?
Don't walk out on the field,
Well,
Brooke.
no,
You get hit by a ball.
Yeah, you don't want to get hit by these balls.
no.
We had a funny story, a real quick funny one. Walking out on the field, we have a former pitcher on our team, was known as a jokester. His name was Eric Express Micklick, and someone in the crowd was asking where they can get a hat, the old-fashioned hat, and in his joking way, he said we were playing an overhand game, an 1880s game, and he told the person to go out and talk to the umpire, who at the time is standing behind the pitcher. So mid-game, she just strolls on out to ask our umpire, Gary, the one you see in the Conan sketch,
Right.
where she can get a hat, and stop the whole game. Everybody's like, he had no clue.
Well,
But
Brooke
what
won't
to
do that.
expect?
Yeah,
Yeah.
what to expect?
I'm glad
What
you
to
told me
expect?
that. I'll avoid that.
What to expect is the first thing you'll notice is we don't wear gloves. That's the most common question we get and most common shock moment. People will see that up until the late 1880s, players didn't wear gloves. So that's the first thing they ask is, do you break fingers? What's the ball like? How soft it is? After that, we get into a lot of the rules with them, but really the no glove factor is usually the most amazing thing to them.
So with the no gloves, is there a different strategy for catching the ball? I did read some people walk away with pretty sore hands that day.
Yeah. Personally, I've broken 8 fingers.
Oh,
I play first. Yeah, I play first base and catcher
oof.
for that guy Eric.
Did they not
Who
like
throws
you,
very
Tom?
fast.
Were they just throwing it too hard? They
Yeah,
didn't like you?
apparently. Yeah, they were throwing it hard, and I had a shortstop named Druid who threw me a curveball once and dislocated my thumb, and it's
Gosh.
So
it's
medics are
kind
on the
of
side. Do you have to do the 1870s medicine
They've
too?
got the sawbones up there, that.
yeah. I was going to say that we're not taking any limbs off at the field. To tell you the truth.
Bite down on this, drink some bourbon.
Yeah. Oh, we'll do the bourbon part for sure.
So you don't have a glove as a catcher either. And in 1864, you mentioned underhand pitching, but as anyone knows watching college or professional softball, you could still get great speed on that pitch, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. Like I said, that gentleman Eric, who was a pitcher, threw it very swiftly. And to be his catcher, you had to have a little no-brain activity going on.
And so, are fans picnicking? Are there benches? Are they standing around like those old pictures on Coogan's Bluff and in the Polo Grounds, watching the game from hills or the Civil War hills?
Yeah, we have old benches sitting around if they want to sit. Some people do bring their own chairs or blankets and picnic and make a day of it. It's a great experience, especially at Old Bethpage Restoration, which is you'll walk down from the ticket booth or the main building, and you'll see nothing but you'll see this great green field and old houses. It's a 19th century village, and you'll see nothing modern, which is one of the rarest settings I've come across in the country. And I'm not just saying that because I volunteer there, but it's a beautiful scenic spot to see a game. And there are other programs that have historic play in historic villages.
Well, you had mentioned the rules, and of course, you mentioned no gloves. But tell us more about some of the 1864 rules that again, viewers would be like, "Oh, hey, this is something different."
Yeah, well, the first one I already mentioned was the bound game. Catching in 1864, catching the ball on a bounce was an out. You could catch it on a fly as well, but if you couldn't reach it, you catch it on a bounce. So
One
people will
bounce,
notice
or
that.
yeah,
One bounce, yeah,
one bounce.
one bounce. The hardest one for a player to get used to is not overrunning first base. You could not overrun first base, or you'd be tagged. Most of us have been that have played baseball or inbred with run through the bag. Well, if you run through the bag here, you could be tagged out. Other rules is wherever the ball first touches the ground is what it is, fair or foul. So it doesn't have to pass first or third like in modern baseball. So it can hit right in front of the plate, jut out into the crowd, and it's the live ball.
I have a favorite old rule that I
Okay.
wish existed today. Soaking.
Oh, yeah. Soaking was done in the very early parts of the game. That was, part of rounders, and we're talking 1840s here. We have played games like that, and we do play rounders with the kids sometimes, and some of our players get a little too excited and soaking kids, but they do it anyhow.
Well, tell
But
us
it's a
what soaking
softer.
is, Brooke.
Go ahead, Brooke.
Is well, from what I read, it's when a player is not on base, you can throw the ball right at him. It's like kickball rules. And sometimes when you see these, what is it, chase downs between when the runner's going back and I just throw the
Yeah,
ball
run
at him,
down.
just
Yeah,
hit him, run down, just hit him.
yep. Yeah.
Are
Yeah,
there
the
any old
ball's a lot
rules?
softer.
Yeah.
Yeah, the ball's a lot softer.
Are there any rules that you wish still existed today?
That's a good question. I mean, I like the fair foul rule, which is wherever first strikes the ground. I kind of like that one. I mean, obviously, I like the no gloves as well, but I guess I would have to say the fair foul one. I mean, I think Major League Baseball would be pretty boring if it was a bound rule, catching the ball on a bounce. I don't think anybody would be getting hits, but uh, probably the fair foul rule.
And as far as the field itself, the bases are still 90 feet apart, right? But you're
Yeah, the
pitching
bases are
closer.
still 90 feet apart.
You're
Pitching's
pitching what?
45 feet.
45 feet. No
45
mound,
feet.
right?
No mound.
Pitcher's
Pitching
box.
distance. You basically have in 1864. You have two lines, 3 feet apart, so 45 and 48 feet from the plate, and you had to pitch within those lines. That area changed a lot. throughout the 19th century. Eventually, it did become a box, which is where you get the term pitcher's box from. But that area changed a lot through the 19th century. All this trying to get a balance between the hitter and the pitcher, as well as balls and strikes, changed a lot as well.
In an earlier episode on Pud Galvin, we talked about the 1880s and the change that pitchers had to go through from probably 9 balls a strike, then 7, and then eventually to 4 balls at the end of the 1880s. In 1864, how many balls were a walk there?
1864 was 3 balls and 3 strikes, but the umpire would give a warning before calling balls or strikes. So the umpire might say a strike or warning. That means he's going to call strikes from that point forward, or ball to bat, which means he's going to call balls from that point forward. But the umpire did not have to call every pitch like you do nowadays.
And one of my favorite rules, and I know it was starting to come in around 1864, but was kind of established a little later, is calling your strike zone. You could either tell the pitcher your strike zone's high or low. Is that played more when you play later games, later rules, or are you playing that in 1864?
Yeah. For instance, next weekend we're playing in Philadelphia. We're going to be playing an 1876 game. And that's a high-low strike zone, which is shoulders to belt, belt to knees. And it's difficult for the pitcher to, and that's an underhand sort of, could be a submarine pitch if you wanted to in 1876. But yeah, it's a harder strike zone, and to hit, basically. It's a very small strike zone.
Well, let's share some history. We mentioned the New York Mutuals, your team, and of course we had mentioned them in our 12th episode on the National League origins, one of the original 8 of the National League. Before that, being part of the National Association of Baseball Players, then Professional Baseball Players, and
No, Jerry, I want to hear you do the initials.
The NAPBPP.
He got tongue-tied on it last time.
Brooks left me tripping over those letters of the NAPVPP on our episode.
Don't ask me.
Funny. But was there a reason that was chosen in particular, or did you just like their history, or?
I originally was part of a team called the Brooklyn Atlantics, which had a long storied history. And then we split off to form our another team. So when I researched the team, I looked for a team, number one, that existed during the 1864 era, but also a team that existed for an extended period of time. They existed from 1857 to 1876, and they have a very colorful history. Being one of the first National League teams, the first 8 National League teams, also was attractive. And the fact that there was a photograph of the team made it my job a little easier recreating the uniform.
The uniforms, right?
Yeah,
that's great.
When you say your job recreating the uniforms, what do you mean by that exactly? Did you put them together?
No. We have somebody who does it. The Weaver's a very, very good uniform maker, and I sent her the picture and she recreated it for me. Yeah, I don't stop.
Did she use a traditional loom and?
No, I don't know what she uses.
No zippers, right?
It's like, hey, look at
no
that.
Zippers. Oh.
No zippers, yeah. And
zippers are in 1908.
Well, and let's talk about that. The anachronisms, that you try to avoid, not only obviously with the uniforms, but the terms. Right? Give us some good terms that we should or shouldn't use. You got to avoid using the terms.
The one I've been getting on, because a lot of our players, almost all of our players, come from playing either senior league ball or baseball, high school ball, or college ball, and getting them to not use the terms they use during the game. The biggest one we got on recently is "my bad." People use that a lot, and it's like,
tapping your chest.
Throw out
that's me.
Yeah, or throwing out a modern baseball player's name during the game. Like a first baseman misses it, they'll call and say, "Hey, Bill Buckner," or whatever. Sorry, Boston fans. But very often we'll say, "Oh, Bill Buckner, the iron worker," or just to make it authentic. Funny. But Some favorite terms that are actually used in 1864 for me is muckle. Muckle is showing a little bit of strength to your hitting, muscle, if you will. And I like that one particularly because I hit the long ball, or at least I used to. But muckle's one. Ginger is another one for speed, which is a lot of fun. And then, we have, some fun terms like flat doodle, which is I use it for a
As
particular player in the village who's known a little bit as a little crazy guy. Hi, Daffy. Yeah, it's you.
So
He knows.
no hot dogs served out there, right? Because weren't
No,
they
not
turned
yet.
after?
No, no, not yet, unfortunately. Beer did exist, though.
yes, beer did exist. Do you do a team check beforehand to make sure no one's wearing wristwatches or no one has
Yeah,
chains on them?
the captain usually does a look over the team, and the players also self-regulate for the most part. And then I'm like there as a backup, and I'll yell at them, what time is it? And they look at their watch, and then we find them.
Well, that
Because
was my next
wristwatches did not
question.
exist.
Yeah,
Yeah.
how do you deal with this? Like, do you shame them? Is there Brooks said, is there a
Oh
penalty
yeah.
box, a sin bin, or is there just fines? What do you do? Dollar in the jar?
we
What do you?
yeah we'll find them. But and we're bringing back something we did in the beginning of the mutuals, which is kangaroo court. For that's not just if people do something stupid or go out and wear the wrong attire during a game, we'll find them.
That's fantastic, but not audience members. They can come in regular garb.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Good.
I'd be worried if they didn't.
Well, I mean, I opened the episode up with all the great nicknames, which of course existed throughout 19th century baseball, even 20th century baseball. And we got to talk about yours, which is Big Bat. How'd you? I assume you didn't choose it yourself, right? You shouldn't choose your own nickname, right?
No,
But
no, you
how
never
did that
choose your
come to
own
be?
nickname. Actually, when I originally played, when I first started, Gary Monty, the umpire that you see in Conan, um, saw me play. I'm 6'5". My initial nickname was Big Man, Big Bat. I used the 42-inch bat, 42 ounces, and that was just a natural, easy thing. And then it just got shortened to that.
Well, I've got to ask. There's a player named Tom Squid Jordan who plays out of Hicksville. Do you know him? And
Yeah.
how do you know his nickname? What's the story? I need the story.
You love that nickname.
He's actually one of my best friends. He doesn't play vintage anymore, but when he first came down to play at the village, he was wearing a jacket. This is not a great story, but he was wearing a jacket that said the Wicked Squids on it, a softball team he played for, and it just Squid just stuck. That's it.
It just
Let him know I love the nickname. Loved it.
Okay.
that was of all the nicknames, that's the one that
That's the
stood
one that
out.
got me.
My favorite's Daffy.
Daffy.
That's
Yeah,
the flapdoodle.
you shouted out to Daffy before.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I'm never going to live that down, to tell you the truth, but whatever. Yeah, he's definitely a Daffy person, so it fits in well.
So your memorable on the field moment, memorable play?
All right, I'll tell this one. When I originally started playing on the travel team, the Brooklyn Atlantics, we went to Sylvania, Ohio, to play for what they call the Sylvania Cup out there, and we were we're very competitive and wanted to win that cup. And we showed up on a Friday night for Saturday games and Sunday games, and needless to say, I'm an avid beer drinker. I enjoy my beer. And we went out and drank Friday night and stayed out till like 4 a.m. This and that happened, and the captain found out about it and was very upset. and I was very hungover for the game that morning, and was playing first base, and I was, I don't want to brag, but I was a little bit of a key player back then, and they were mad at me. I'm yelling on the sideline, "Stupid, stupid! What was I doing?" First ball, first pitch, line drive to my right. Basically had to dive to catch the ball, and then that was the beginning of everybody was like, "Okay, we're good now." So that's one of my, and we ended up winning the cup, so
Oh,
it all worked out.
the liquid encouragement was not was not bad news.
No, it was not a smart idea, and there's no way I could do that nowadays.
So do you still play?
I do. This is actually, and probably for my teammates, this is the first they're going to hear about it. So you got a coup hero.
Oh, you got to tell them
What
to
do you call
listen,
it?
right?
Yeah, exactly. I'm retiring from playing this year. This will be my last year.
Oh gosh.
I was still umpire, and I still run things until somebody else wants to take over. But yeah, I'm not going to. 8 broken fingers is not. It's not the only thing that's holding me back. But I'm gonna hit 65 next month, and bad knees and bad fingers, and just it's my time.
And hey, look, breaking news on this podcast. How about that? I think you had mentioned on the Roller Out the Barrel podcast that was devoted on to vintage baseball that you've had some knee issues and whatnot too, huh?
Yeah, I've torn ACL twice in my left knee and had a knee replacement of my left knee, ankle issues. My right knee now needs to be replaced, so it's old age is catching up to me.
Uh, so it's a young man's game. You have a lot of younger players, right?
But yeah. My son, my oldest son plays, and now is the captain of the Mutual. So,
Oh, that's
or one of the
wonderful.
captains, there's two.
Brooke, you were about to ask a question. I'm sorry. I think I cut you off.
So, on that note, you say your son plays. How does someone get into this? I did notice in something I read that women are allowed to play. Is that
Yeah, we have
correct?
2 women on the
So,
team.
okay. So, if someone were interested, hey, do they need a background in baseball? How would someone come about playing for a vintage team?
Well, they can go to the nhbbc.com website, find a team in their area, and reach out to them. But it just takes some interest. Teams are always looking for new players. At Old Bethpage Restoration, if you come down that day as a visitor and say, "Oh, this looks like fun," we'll suit you up. So be careful what you ask for. We'll suit them up, and they can play that day if they want to. We're one of the only programs that do that.
Watch out, Brooke. You might get recruited. You don't even need to bring a glove.
Oh, you're gonna get recruited. Definitely.
And does this affect how you watch modern baseball? Like are you like or
Yeah, I mean, I love baseball. Don't get me wrong, but some of the personalities in modern baseball really turn me off as far as that's concerned. And then the rule changes that are going on now. I'm a traditionalist, although I do like the strike challenge. It's just going quicker. The it's very quick. But yeah, some of the changes are upsetting.
Tom, how about modern players? Is there any way you can look at modern players and see if they'll translate well? You think they do okay in the vintage game?
Yeah, there's some modern players that like to get down and dirty and really hustle 100% of the time, which is part of the vintage baseball lure. Somebody like Bryce Harper comes to mind, even though he's not because he's a superstar, but because he does hustle and he does run things out. You might even think of somebody like Brandon Nimmo also that would be somebody like that. I won't mention any of my Dodgers. I'm sorry.
So, any player who leaves a game with a very fully dirty uniform would be a good
There you
vintage
go.
player.
Absolutely. If you're not dirty, you're not playing.
So Tom, the difference is not only with the rules, but what about the baseball itself?
Yeah, the baseball is different than a modern baseball. It's what they call a lemon peel. or star design. It's made out of one piece of leather. It kind of forms an X on the top of the ball. Uh, the balls that we play with are a step below modern baseball, because people will say, "Oh, you're using a modern baseball with bare hands? You're crazy." It's a little softer. It's a little softer, but not a lot. Like I said, I've broken 8 fingers. You still
Yeah.
have to catch it with soft hands. So the ball, compared to Major League Baseball, you only use one ball a game in 1864. So if the
Right.
ball went into the woods, you would go hunting for it. They were expensive, and back in 1864, they were hard to find. People handmade them, and wasn't like modern baseball, which the current rate is one ball every 6 pitches. So it's
Right.
it's quite the difference. So
You still try and stuff it up, make it dirty,
you can do whatever you want with that ball.
tobacco juice, and
We have a pitcher that likes to. I'll shout out to Dirk. Likes to stand on the ball before he pitches the first pitch. It's a
that's
character.
great. That's great. But no Vaseline. Well, I don't know Vaseline. I don't think Vaseline was invented. It's old
I
though.
don't. You got me on that one. I don't know.
And the home plate is not your standard, pentagon there. It was round back
Yeah, it's
in
a round. It's a round plate, round metal plate. That's what they used back then. I mean, there are a lot of rumors on how that started, but the bottom line is it was like a 12-inch circle.
yeah. Fantastic, fantastic.
Question then. So, do you have a story of something that went horribly right or fantastically wrong?
Well, I'll tell this story then. I'm going to tell the Kirsten
Okay.
story
Awesome.
Okay.
because that
We're
went
ready.
right. That went right and wrong in the same game. We were playing an event in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and there was like 8 to 10 teams there, and we were scheduled. At the time, we were, to play 1884 rules or 1886 rules, you need an overhand pitcher and you need a catcher, and we weren't scheduled to play an overhand game, so we didn't have either. Um, they had a team there that needed somebody to play 1886 rules, an overhand game, and they asked if we would do it. And I was like, we don't have a pitcher. The bottom line is, I mean, it sounds easy, but with the high-low strike zone and things like that, it makes it difficult. So the guy says to me, well, what if we get Bill Lee to pitch for you? And I'm like, Bill Lee?
The
He's
spaceman?
like, yeah, the spaceman. And I'm like, okay. And one of our guys volunteered to catch, and Bill Lee was going to pitch for us. And at the time, he was in his early 70s, I believe. They needed an umpire as well that knew the rules, so I volunteered to umpire. And the only stipulation I had is that I don't have any gear with me. I'm going to umpire from behind the pitcher, which in 1887 is fairly accurate, but 86 probably not. But they said, fine, umpire from behind the pitcher. So I had the experience of being behind Bill Lee while he's pitching in an 1886 game. And this guy is calling every one of his pitches. He's saying, watch now. I'm going to throw low and outside. Boom. He hits low and outside. Watch now. Here comes the curve. He's throwing, and he's super, super competitive guy. He's like, if players made a mistake, he's cursing. And we're playing without gloves except for the catcher. The catcher wears a glove. And we had a bad game. The Mutuals had a bad game. We were dropping everything. And that's a fly game, so you had to catch it on the fly. But we were dropping everything. So finally, one of the players from the opposition comes up. Bill Lee's pitching. And the guy hits a weak fly ball to the catcher in foul territory. And the catcher, who has a glove, goes to catch it, and it pops out of his mitt and drops on the ground. Bill Lee turns to me, and excuse my language, because here it comes, fans. He says, that motherfucker is the only motherfucker that has a glove, and he can't catch the motherfucking ball. And he just went off. My catcher loved it because his secondary nickname now is MF.
He got his nickname.
He got his
Yeah,
nickname, but it was so cool. Yeah, it was a cool experience. So it was great to see Bill Lee pitching and how competitive he was and hitting and everything. But it was
yeah.
also funny to have that down moment of this guy dropping the ball and Bill Lee just losing his mind.
Oh my goodness, that's great. But yeah, the listeners, I'm sure, know Bill Lee, a classic Red Sox, even Expos, had ended his career at the Expos, but he's usually very zen.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Oh,
yeah. So,
absolutely. Yeah.
but obviously gets very competitive. I actually think
Yeah.
he's part of the working with the Savannah Bananas now, so he's still going strong. I think
Yes,
in
he is.
his, I don't know, 70s.
He might be in his 80s now, to be honest with
Maybe,
you. But
yeah, that's true.
I've
That
seen
is
him still pitch. Yeah, which is amazing.
that
Amazing.
is.
I see many of the photos are attributed to you. So is photography a hobby of yours? Or are you just the only one
Yes.
allowed to touch the camera?
A little bit of both. A little bit of both. The one thing I missed in my playing days is that there weren't a lot of photographers taking pictures at the time. I've always been into photography since I was a kid. As a retired teacher, I was looking for a hobby, and I said I'm going to bring back photography. And I took pictures of the team earlier during my playing career when I wasn't playing, and I'm a professional photographer now, so I'm making a little bit of money at it, but I enjoy taking pictures, and I currently shoot for a local college too. So it's a fun hobby, and I enjoy it.
That is wonderful. Tom, we're wrapping up, but before we go, I know you had mentioned it before. Tell us how people can find a game near them, a league near them, if they're interested in coming out to watch.
Yeah, I definitely. You could reach out to me, and I can help put you in touch with the team. Or if you're interested in starting your own team, we just had a team start up in Washington D.C., and I help them get started. We'll help you start, but the website is nhbbc.com. You can go there. There's a listing of teams and where they're from. If you can't find a team in your area, I can find you one. No problem. There's over 400 teams across the country,
Oh,
including
wow.
Hawaii,
So,
which I want a
yeah,
road trip to Hawaii. But I
well,
could definitely put you in touch with somebody.
yeah, we're in Louisiana.
Uh,
We'll have to look at local teams. I bet there's,
Louisiana. I'm trying to think if there. I don't think there are any teams there.
yeah,
I think the closest would be Tennessee.
Tennessee. Wow.
Not.
So,
Yeah, there's a league in Tennessee. Yeah.
oh, but that's a shame. Road trip, Brooke. This vintage baseball, is it unique to the 19th century? No one in the early 20th century dead ball does kind of reenactments or for
There was a team, doesn't exist anymore, that did the 1922 Giants for a
okay.
while. And they had the old-fashioned gloves and the uniforms and everything, but they don't exist anymore.
Yeah.
All the teams are 19th century pretty much.
But I think the fun is because there's so many different rules compared to, I guess, in the 20th century, most of
Yeah,
those rules are
yeah,
pretty
absolutely.
established.
That's why we picked 1864
Yeah.
as our year, because there's a lot of different rules. It made it interesting.
Brooke, any final questions before we close?
I appreciate your time. I learned a lot today. I'm usually the person who's representing the non-baseball person on the street listening to the podcast. So I had a blast. I appreciate your time. And I look forward to coming out to the
Anytime.
game this summer. And then I know you have a festival in August, the second
Yeah,
weekend in August.
Second weekend, August 8th and 9th is Doc Adams Festival. If you don't know who Doc Adams is, please look him up on the, not the Gunsmoke Doc Adams, the baseball Doc Adams. He is one of the fathers of baseball. That's not in the Hall of Fame. The Hall of Fame is actually the end of May, and Memorial Day weekend, will be displaying his laws of baseball that were recently discovered in 2015, I believe, where he wrote down the rules from 1856 on a piece of paper. It was found in somebody's desk in 2015, and they were written in 1856. 9 players per inning, per team, nine bases, 90-foot bases. Oh my goodness, they're gonna get me on that one. 90-foot bases he came up with. 9 innings he came up with. He invented the shortstop position. He was the first one to play shortstop. Um, he's responsible for a lot, and unfortunately, he's not in the Hall of Fame because it kind of contradicts one of the players that is in the Hall of Fame that is given that title, Father of Baseball. Like I
Yeah,
said, I
well,
could
that
talk for hours.
we are a podcast that has on several episodes railed against people not in the Hall of Fame. So this episode will fit very nicely with that. Well, at the risk of getting too sentimental, I will close this out with an abbreviated quote from the film Field of Dreams, talking about baseball as that one constant through all the years. And it's, quote, "Baseball has marked the time. This field, this game is part of our past. It reminds us of all that once was good and what could be again." Uh, I don't have the gravitas of James Earl Jones, but go out, find a vintage game, support these players. Brooke and I are going to try, as I said, to get to a game this summer. You're not going to regret it. I'm sure it's less expensive. Your view will almost certainly be better. You're going to have a great time. So thank you, Tom, for joining us today. This has been
Thank you.
fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
And thanks also to Brooke. And shout out to all the vintage players out there. We usually end with a shout out to someone, but thank you guys for all you do to keep this history alive. And as a vintage player, Tom, we usually ask, for someone who can assure me they'll be listening. Can you assure me you'll listen to this episode after we're done?
Absolutely, and I'm very popular, so I'll have a lot of my friends listening, and they'll get me on that 9 bases thing. Trust me.
Especially Daffy.
Yeah.
So, well, listeners, we're always happy you're listening. I hope you'll keep listening. Don't forget to subscribe on your podcast platform. Heading back to the locker room, this is Jerry Dines and Fungos and Fastballs.